From translation, TLB, the Living Bible. This 83rd day of the year. Today we are reading passages, Judges 16 to 18. Judges chapter 16, verses 1 to 31. Samson went to Gaza, where he saw a prostitute, and went to bed with her. When the Gazites were told, "Samson is here," they surrounded the place and waited all night at the city gate to ambush him at dawn. But they kept quiet all night, thinking, "Let's wait till the morning light. Then we'll kill him." But Samson lay only until midnight, then got up, took hold of the city gates and their 2 posts, and tore them up, bar and all. He put them on his shoulders and carried them to the top of the hill overlooking Hebron. Some time later, he fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. The rulers of the Philistines went to her and said, "Samson has been draining our strength. Try to entice him to tell you the secret of his great strength, and how we can overpower him, so we can tie him up and subdue him. Each of us will give you 1,100 silver pieces." So Delilah said to Samson, "Tell me the secret of your great strength and how you can be tied up and subdued." Samson answered her, "If anyone ties me with 7 fresh bowstrings not yet dried, I'll become as weak as any other man." Then the rulers of the Philistines brought her 7 fresh bowstrings not yet dried, and she tied him with them. With men hiding in the room, she called to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." But he snapped the bowstrings as easily as a piece of string snaps when it comes close to a flame. So the secret of his strength was not discovered. Then Delilah said to Samson, "You have made fun of me, you lied to me. Come now, tell me how you can be tied up." He said, "If anyone ties me securely with new ropes that have never been used, I'll become as weak as any other man." So Delilah took new ropes and tied him with them. Then with men hiding in the room, she called to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." But he snapped the ropes off his arms as if they were thread. Delilah then said to Samson, "Until now you have been making fun of me and lying to me. Tell me how you can be tied up." He replied, "If we weave the 7 braids of my head into the fabric on the loom and tighten it with the pin, I'll become as weak as any other man." So while he was sleeping, Delilah took the 7 braids of his head, wove them into the fabric and tightened it with the pin. Again she called to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He awoke from his sleep and pulled up the pin and the loom with the fabric still attached. Then she said to him, "How can you say, 'I love you,' when you won't confide in me? This is the 3rd time you have made fun of me and haven't told me the secret of your great strength." With such nagging, she prodded him day after day until he was sick to death of it, so he told her everything. "No razor has ever been used on my head," he said, "because I have been a Nazirite dedicated to God from my mother's womb. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man." When Delilah saw that he had told her everything, she sent word to the rulers of the Philistines, "Come back once more. He has told me everything." So the rulers of the Philistines returned with the silver in their hands. Having put him to sleep on her lap, she called for someone to shave off the 7 braids of his hair, and so began to subdue him. And his strength left him. Then she called, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He awoke from his sleep and thought, "I'll go out as before and shake myself free." But he did not know that the Lord had left him. Then the Philistines seized him, gouged out his eyes, and took him down to Gaza. Binding him with bronze shackles, they set him to grinding grain in the prison. But the hair of his head began to grow again after it had been shaved. Now the rulers of the Philistines assembled to offer a great sacrifice to Dagon their god and to celebrate, saying, "Our God has delivered Samson, our enemy, into our hands." When the people saw him, they praised their God, saying, "Our God has delivered our enemy into our hands, the one who laid waste our land and multiplied our slain." While they were in high spirits, they shouted, "Bring out Samson to entertain us." So they called Samson out of the prison. And he performed for them. Then they had him stand between the pillars. Samson said to the servant who held his hand, "Put me where I can touch the pillars that support the temple, so that I may lean against them." Now the temple was crowded with men and women. All the rulers of the Philistines were there, and on the roof were about 3,000 men and women watching Samson perform. Then Samson prayed to the Lord, "Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just once more, and let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes." Then Samson reached toward the 2 central pillars on which the temple stood. Bracing himself against them, his hands on each, he pushed with all his might. Down went the temple on the rulers and all the people in it. Thus he killed many more when he died than while he lived. Then his brothers and his father's whole family went to get him, and brought him back and buried him between Zorah and Eshtal in the tomb of Manoah his father. He had led Israel for 20 years. Judges chapter 17, verses 1 to 13. Now a man named Micah from the hill country of Ephraim said to his mother, "I have the 1,100 silver pieces I took from you. Am I guilty of taking them?" His mother replied, "My son, because I am dedicated the silver to the Lord, from my own hand I give it back to you." When he returned the silver to his mother, she took 200 silver pieces and gave them to a silversmith, who made it into a carved image and an idol. Then Micah installed one of his sons as his priest. In those days Israel had no king, everyone did as they saw fit. Now Micah had a shrine, and he made an ephod and some household gods and installed one of his sons as his priest. In those days Israel had no king, everyone did as they saw fit. A young man from Bethlehem in Judah, who had been living within the clan of Judah, left that town to seek a place elsewhere. He came to the hill country of Ephraim and took up residence there. He then left the town of Bethlehem in Judah to live wherever he could find a place. He came to Micah's house in the hill country of Ephraim and stayed there. Micah asked him, "Where are you from?" He replied, "I'm a Levite from Bethlehem in Judah, and I'm looking for a place to live." Micah said, "Come with me and be my father and priest, and I'll give you 10 silver pieces a year, your clothes and your food." So the Levite went. The young man, who was a Levite, agreed to live with the man and became like one of his sons. Then Micah installed the Levite, and the young man became his priest and lived in Micah's house. Micah said, "Now I know that the Lord will be good to me, since I have a Levite as priest." Judges chapter 18, verses 1 to 31. In those days Israel had no king. And in those days the tribe of the Danites was seeking a homeland for itself to settle in, for until that time no land among the tribes of Israel had been given to them as their own inheritance. So the Danites sent 5 of their leading men from Zorah and Eshtaol to spy out the land and explore it. These men represented their clans. They told them, "Go, explore the land." The men entered the hill country of Ephraim and came to the house of Micah, where they stayed there. When they were near Micah's house, they recognized the voice of the young Levite. So they turned aside and said to him, "Who brought you here? What are you doing in this place? Why are you here?" He answered them, "Micah did such and such for me, and he has hired me as his priest." Then they said to him, "Please inquire of God to learn whether our journey will be successful." The priest replied, "Go in peace. Your journey has the Lord's approval." So the 5 men left and came to Laish, where they saw that the people there were living in security, like the Sidonians, at peace and unsuspecting. They were far from the Sidonians and had no alliance with anyone. When they returned to Zorah and Eshtaol, their brothers asked them, "What did you find?" They answered, "Come on, let's attack them. We have seen the land, and it is very good. Do you have any idea what we should do? Do not hesitate to go there to take it over. When you get there, you will find an unsuspecting people and a spacious land that God has put into your hands, a land that lacks nothing whatever." 600 men of the Danites, armed with weapons of war, set out from Zorah and Eshtaol. On their way they set up camp near Kiriath-Jearim in Judah. This is why the place west of Kiriath-Jearim is called Mahane Dan to this day. From there they continued on to the hill country of Ephraim and came to Micah's house. Then the 5 men who had spied out the land of Laish said to their fellow Danites, "Do you know that in these houses there are an ephod, other household gods, a carved image, and a silver idol? Now you know what to do." So they turned aside there and went to Micah's house and the young Levite who was his priest. The 600 Danites, armed for battle, stood at the entrance to the gate. The 5 men who had spied out the land went inside and took the carved image, the ephod and the household gods, while the priest and the 600 armed men stood at the entrance to the gate. When these men went into Micah's house and took the carved image, the ephod and the household gods, the priest said to them, "What are you doing?" The men replied, "Be quiet, don't say a word. Come with us to be our father and priest. Isn't it better that you serve a tribe and clan in Israel than just one man's household?" The priest was very pleased. He took the ephod, the household gods and the carved image and went among the people. Then they turned away and went on their way, putting their little children, their livestock and their possessions in front of them. When they had gone some distance from Micah's house, the men who lived near Micah were gathered together and overtook the Danites. They called out to the Danites, who turned around and said to Micah, "What's the matter with you that you've called out your men to fight?" He replied, "You took the gods I made and my priest as well. What else do I have? How can you ask me, what's the matter with you?" The Danites answered, "Don't argue with us. Some men might be pleased to take up arms against you." So the Danites went on their way, and Micah, seeing that they were too strong for him, turned and went back home. Then they took what Micah had made, and his priest with them, and came to Laish, against a people at peace and unsuspecting. They attacked them with the sword and burned down their city. There was no one to rescue them because they lived a long way from Sidon and had no alliance with anyone. The city was in a valley near Beit Rehob. The Danites rebuilt the city and settled there. They named it Dan after their ancestor Dan, who was born to Israel. However, the name of the city was originally Laish. Then they set up for themselves the carved image, and Jonathan son of Gershom, the son of Moses, and his sons were priests for the tribe of Dan until the time of the captivity of the land. They continued to use Micah's idols throughout the period of the captivity of the land.